is fascinating. And I will tell you this, Kurt, your viewers, I agree. I hear what you're saying in terms of protecting the jurors themselves as individuals. I got you. But from viewers' perspectives, from a human perspective, it is fascinating to hear what happened when they went into the jury room and how things played out.
I understand I'm in the minority on this set, in this newsroom. I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm just not in favor of it. But hey, one man's opinion.
Okay.
That's it.
Apparently, Arthur Chan is tweeting that a Sprinter van pulled to the closed garage on the Pearl Street side, and that's where the jurors. It's speculated the jurors left from that entrance, and I guess they dismissed them. They probably got them to another place that's safe from the prying eyes of the press.
You also pointed out, Rosanna, that the New York Times was saying that Psalm 11 is what Sean Combs read. I looked it up. It's a declaration of trust in God's adversity and a reminder of his justice against enemies, so of his children. So.
Well, it basically says, I put my trust in you, which is if anybody is going through hardship, you know that you need help from a divine individual to help you get through that, and you have to trust that God's going to take care of you. And that's what Diddy was reading as the verdict came in.
I think some people will have a hard time looking at that and thinking that God sided with Diddy.
Kurt, I was going to ask you this, because
I'm just saying, that's the honest truth.
But no, that and just the other allegations that came out. I mean, this man's reputation, has taken a serious hit in the court of public opinion. Sadly, they're not in his head. The term freak offs is now something that all of us cannot.
And listen, I'm never going to look at baby oil again. All right.
You're nodding in agreement about the reputation.
I agree that the reputational harm, he can never get his reputation back. And I agree with everything that Arthur said, right? Speaking to the jurors is an invaluable part of our craft. And you learn things that happened in the jury deliberation room that the lawyers weren't even focused on. I've spoken to jurors, and I hear that they were focused on these issues. And I'm like, I didn't even think that was an issue in this case. And the jurors focus on things that it's a great study of human psychology, as Arthur was talking about. You learn so much.
Yo, it is bullshit. Tell me how he gonna get his reputation back. Man, fuck his reputation.
Obviously, the parties are very busy right now.
With all them damn people who did all this evil shit too, man. Y'all tripping.
So they probably are
Shut the fuck up,
anyway, and they may try to reach out to the jurors at a later point. But it's always harder to speak to them at a later date. It's easiest when it's fresh, when they're leaving the courthouse, when you could speak to them. That's when they most want to be spoken to. When they move on with their lives, it's less likely that they want to be spoken to about a case like this. But like I said, I would expect in the next couple of days, we'll hear some leaks. We'll hear some reports of some of the jurors. And some of the jurors may go on TV, like Rosanna asked. They may be public. They may want to discuss what the deliberation room looked like.
And we can hide their identity and voice. We've done that before in the past.
Girl,
but I think people are curious about how the deliberations went. Was there fighting over the RICO?
She want to know, guys.
Yesterday, we thought we had a hung jury on the RICO count.
Yeah, and it was a fairly quick verdict for a 2-month trial, right? We had basically a day plus of deliberations, right? Yesterday was the only full day. This morning they deliberated for maybe an hour, and on Monday they deliberated for a very short amount of time. So it was a fairly quick deliberation for a 2-month trial, and so it would be curious to hear what was happening in that jury room. As Rosanna pointed out, yesterday they did indicate that there were jurors dug in on both sides of the aisle on the RICO racketeering count. So clearly they were persuaded by the judge's instructions, and clearly they were persuaded by their fellow jurors to go back and deliberate honestly and fairly, and they were convinced that he was not guilty of that count.
Well, even Adala's case with Weinstein too. Remember the jury? They were basically fighting. We were like, we can't deal with this. That would have been really interesting just to get the temperature, take a barometer of what that was.
Arthur, are you there? Did you ever talk to?
I'm here, and what Seth was saying. What we also have to factor in there is they went home last night, and when people go home, right, you don't know what happens. I mean, first of all, I know they're not supposed to read or hear anything about the case, but a case of this magnitude, it's almost impossible. You get into the cab, all of a sudden, you hear this screen in the cab. You go on Facebook, and there's something about it.
What happened to your volume, Nick?
You go out overnight, you can see jurors change their minds. And in fact, in the Weinstein case, when they said they were hung, And one juror said, "Look, I'm done. I'm not going back in there." The judge broke for the day at 3 p.m, said, "Everyone go home, let's cool off, and we'll come back tomorrow and see what happens." And when he came back tomorrow, the juror was like, "I'm done. I have my verdict. They're trying to change my mind. I'm not going to allow them to change my mind. I heard the evidence." And that was it. The judge had to declare a mistrial. So, but again, Weinstein's case, Puffy's case, we considered a win that we got Weinstein. There were 3 women. We found guilty only of one. The other 2, there was no decision on. Well, one he was not guilty, one there's no decision. The same with Puffy, right? He beat most of the.
Let's think about this real quick, man. This is a 2-month trial. OJ shit was 9 months. Do y'all know they only pay these fucking jurors only $50 a day, man? What if you got a goddamn job that's paying you $100,000, $200,000 a year, and you getting paid $50 a day for 2 straight months? Man, come on with the fucking game. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Half maybe, or maybe a little less to get into the halfway house. All of these get out of jail free cards do not apply to sex crimes cases. So the first step back, all things that allow people to go to a camp, to be in a more luxurious camp fed, they don't apply when you're for sex crimes cases. So he beat the top counts. Fantastic job by the defense. If the judge is the one who gets to write the last chapter here. The judge says, "I'm sentencing you to time served and 5 years probation." It's an enormous victory for the defense, an enormous blow for the prosecution. If the judge says, "I'm sentencing you to 15 years, 10 on one and 5 on the other to run consecutively," because I heard all of the evidence. And the judge is allowed to take into consideration the evidence that he heard that even though he was acquitted on. The judge is allowed to look at the totality of the circumstances surrounding this individual and his potential to be a danger to society, to recommit these kinds of crimes. So he can take all of that into account. So we shall see. If the judge lets him out today, it's a good indication he's not going to bang him out. If the judge doesn't let him out today, it remains to be seen.
All right, well, we should have some answers to that in a couple of hours. They have to file their paperwork by 1 o'clock, and then the judge will make a decision. Arthur, stay on hold for just a second. I want to check in with Lisa Evers outside the courtroom.
10 do 5, nigga. No, we ain't talking about that.
Hey, Curtin Rowe, we're here. Curtin Rowe, we're here at outside federal court where we've been all morning. I'm joined right now by extra senior correspondent Mona Kosar-Abdi, and she's been following this case every single day, and we're going to get some reaction about the entertainment community. Mona, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Is there a certain prevailing trend among the entertainment community that you're hearing in response to this verdict?
I think it's too early right now to hear the responses, but what we do know is immediately once it was clear that Diddy was under investigation, I think actually before then, when we saw Cassie Ventura's lawsuit and read some of the
I wouldn't hang with you, Diddy. You a nasty man. You like licking man cum, man. What the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
A lot of people started distancing themselves.
Nah, man, we ain't fucking with you, Diddy.
This was somebody who you know through some of the most lavish A-list Hollywood parties where anyone from Donald Trump to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Don't come in here with your business, my What up, bro? Yeah, man. What'd you say, Tanya? You say exactly. This is all done to show him he don't run shit. Yeah, a lot of people say that too. So now I feel they might as well let Kelly out. He did way more than Kelly. Hey, man, just like they said earlier, I don't know if you was in here, they say Kelly locked up because he ran out of money. Diddy ain't run out of money.
To 112 to Mary J. Blige. He also made hits with like Mariah Carey. So he was someone who was a hit maker, who was associated to a lot of celebrities and was buddies with Jay-Z. He was at the Rock Nation brunches with Jay-Z regularly. And so to see immediately that nobody was willing to come to his defense. But I think there were rumors for a long time that he was an eccentric figure and that people did not want to excuse his behavior, but he was somebody to know at the time.
And did you get a sense that some of the people in the entertainment
Did you hear the stories that they told about Diddy? Come to his
Maybe
defense.
we're looking at their own behavior, taking a second look after these charges, going, wait a minute, if they can go after
They
somebody
go over there
of
sitting
that
in the
stature,
corner
I mean, a
beating his meat
billionaire
while
and
somebody
one of the
beat
most
on his
famous
old
men
lady.
in the world,
Man,
they
use
can
him.
go after anybody.
Yeah, so a
That's
lot of,
super
I mean, it was
nasty,
the
man.
defense's angle definitely to say that
Super
the
nasty.
prosecution was
You over there in the
overstepping
corner like,
boundaries by
take
putting
that,
crime
take that,
scene tape
take
in
that.
his bedroom. They also mentioned that there was another rapper who, the woman who was going by the pseudonym Jane, was familiar with. They said he's another big
Kanye?
rapper who was into that lifestyle, and that's how the defense was categorizing that this is a lifestyle. He was into the swingers lifestyle, and he had non-conventional sex.
Kanye?
But that shouldn't mean that the government should go into his bedroom and put crime scene tape. And they kept saying that he was overstepping. And so I do think that if he was convicted of the sex trafficking charge, that it might put a lot of people on alert about, well, what if I was flying in someone or having threesomes? But I think there was a lot more to it, and a lot more that the prosecution was using to support their case. But like you said, it did definitely ring bells in Hollywood.
And then a lot of people too, once that video was released and the world saw that Cassie beating video, even though those weren't specific charges to this case, it was a very important building block for the prosecution. But was there a sense people were just like, okay, that does it. All the stuff I've been hearing is true.
Yeah, which is why I think that even though now he has been acquitted of 3 of the serious charges, and he's still convicted, he's still looking at some serious prison time, I don't think that Hollywood is going to be welcoming him with open arms, because that video was so disturbing and so brutal, and the defense didn't really have a defense for him. They said, listen, we know he's not a good person sometimes, that he was violent towards Cassie, that he was abusive. Their argument was that that doesn't mean that he's guilty of RICO and sex trafficking, but he still has to answer to that. And we all saw that video, and his apology video that he made after the video was released fell flat. And so that's why I think that regardless of the outcome or when he is released, I don't think Hollywood is waiting with open arms for him.
And then what about you're a journalist, but there were so many stories, so much on, I call it the social media tsunami beforehand, of all these rumors with minors and all of these other things that were going on. Does that concern you about how that might influence people, in a big case like this, where these things they're right in your face? You pick up your phone and it's the first thing that pops up on your screen, whether you're following that person or subscribing or not.
Yeah, Lisa, you make a good point, because there's the court of law and then there's the court of public opinion. And in the court of public opinion, to a lot of people, he is still guilty. And there were a lot of allegations made in the civil lawsuits that he still also has to answer to, some involving minors, some involving just different things and abuse allegations, for example. And he still has to answer to that. But right now, the big hurdle that he was trying to overcome was not spending the rest of his life in prison. And so today, the judge is weighing if he will be able to walk out of these doors out on bail, but he's still looking about to up to 20
Diddy might
years
as well.
So he still has a long road ahead.
10 years on 10 years maximum on each count of the transportation.
Diddy might as well carry his ass over there with Russell Simmons.
I tried to include in my
Nobody don't want to see your monkey ass no more, Diddy. We don't want you walking around licking your lips. Nobody.
And the
we don't know what you got on your lips.
Support. They were obviously very, well coached in terms
of
like.
He's not needed here. He's not wanted. Nobody don't like this.
Pay any attention to it.
Except them freaky motherfuckers.
Keep your dignity, which they did. But just
I bet you the Punisher excited.
Yes,
they freed him.
When no one else was there,
and get some more work done. You think this nigga gonna go back to work and doing this shit again? Yeah, throw Diddy ass up under the jail.
Of a family around him, even despite these sensational allegations, had on the jury.
I think it had a fact at one point during his closing argument. Mark Gniflo,
the judge should be coming back. What time it is?
To the family.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they said around 1, 12 or 1 o'clock.
Who helps people, that he helped people of color that worked in his businesses, was giving them opportunities. He said before DEI was even a thing, and he said that is why.
But he's coming back,
and pointed right at them,
and I think that's when he's gonna let us know if he's gonna let Diddy go home today.
Takes care of people, and I think that really resonated.
I don't know. I don't think they're gonna
the mother of his twin
give him his sentence today. That sentence probably gonna be on another day.
His late girlfriend.
But I think the day when he comes back, he'll be letting us know if Diddy's going home.
if the defense kept bringing her up, that the jury in the back of their
I
mind,
wonder who the first female gonna give Diddy some pussy.
they're 18 years old. They already lost their mother, and now they may potentially lose their father if he spends the rest of his life in prison. So I think that was a factor.
And that it played into that as well. And then what about in terms of women, like women looking at their own behavior and
Shit!
like you
I
pay me
crack
for this,
myself
you
up
pay me for
sometimes.
that, and we're dating, but you're paying me. What about that? And that's not just limited to hip hop or to entertainment. That cuts across a lot of different cultures and a lot of different economic and demographic.
See, young man.
There was a lot of social conversations that were going on, and this is why this case was so
Hey,
polarizing, right? So
I don't see how a woman can kiss this cat, man.
back when it came to Jane, and they even said
You
verbatim,
do what with that
a very
motherfucker?
different person than Cassie is.
Why Jay say Cassie?
Jane likes to do it for the
Man,
gram.
Cassie better not be seen with no Diddy.
Get out of this relationship. He connected her to numerous
Hey, it might
rappers,
be
for example,
J-Lo.
and he kept bringing up the fact that she was jealous of women.
Y'all know
getting
J-Lo
more
stayed
shit
out of this
than
shit the
her.
whole time.
Like,
Her name never came up.
She always was would
J-Lo a vampire, dog. That lady don't fucking age.
him taking another woman on a trip, for example. And so they highlighted that to show that she was a willing participant in all of this, and it was just a transactional relationship, for example.
Exactly. Well, Mona, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. Mona 𝐂𝐻𝐒.
Oh shit, I forgot that the shit turned down. I'm over here tripping,
Thank you so
people.
much for sharing your insight and your experience with us on this. We really appreciate it. Back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you very much, Lisa, for that insight. And as we get ready to readjust, keep in mind that we will keep you covered right here. As to the latest happenings, the judges asked for both parties to give him paperwork by 1 o'clock, which is just over an hour from now. And then he will make a decision as to whether or not Diddy will be released on bail
1
or be
o'clock.
held on still in prison or in the detention center.
The Brooklyn Detention Center.
Right.
Yeah.
Until this case is decided as far as sentencing goes. We'll have more on that. The noon comes your way in just a few minutes right now.
Right.
Kurt Menefee, Rosanna Scotto, Seth Zuckerman still with us here. Seth, anything you want to wrap up here with as we get to the top of the hour?
I just think this is a huge win for Diddy, right? He was convicted of only the 2 prostitution counts and was found not guilty of both the RICO racketeering and the sex trafficking counts. That's a huge win. There's no mandatory minimum prison sentence at this point.
So the judge could give him a few months.
The judge could give him a few months.
Or no time at all, right?
Correct. There'll
Time
be
served.
I would find that hard to believe, but it's absolutely possible. The sentencing guidelines will call for a few years.
Y'all found it hard to
and
believe
there's
that he was gonna be
maximum
walking
10
free.
on each count, which can be done consecutively, which is why he
Y'all
faces up
found
to
it hard
20
to
years.
believe that he was
But this is a huge win.
I think the
They thought he
women's
was gonna
groups
get that
are gonna be
goddamn RICO
so
charge.
angry right
They just
now,
knew they had him for that shit.
over
Well,
what Cassie Ventura endured. We saw the videotape in the hallway. That was just a sampling of what went on behind closed doors. And
We heard more and more stories.
Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all what's gonna happen, man. Cause y'all can't forget, man. Y'all cannot forget that Cassie's husband had to sit here and listen to this shit, man. He had to sit there and listen to all this nasty shit his wife did. Hey, he gonna come out them bushes like old boy did in A Time to Kill. Like did it. So let me quit playing, man. Let me stop.
The prosecution may have overplayed their hand here, Kurt. They showed that video again and again and again.
At the beginning and the end.
And to the point that the jurors actually could become numb to it. The first time you saw that video, we were all shocked and appalled, right? But when you see that video 5, 6, 10, 20 times, you kind of become numb to it a little bit. And I think the prosecution may have made a misstep by showing it so many times in this case that I don't think the video played as large of a role as everyone thought that it would play, that it played. Now, there's also a school of thought that the video should not have been allowed into evidence to begin with. It was a very prejudicial video, and it didn't go directly to the counts that he was charged with. Obviously, the judge made an evidentiary determination to allow it in based on the racketeering charge, and the jury saw it. But I think the government made a misstep by showing it so many times that I think the jury may have become numb to it by
all
the end.
right, Seth, thank you so much for, summarizing and giving us an idea of what might be going on behind closed doors right now as we speak. We're going to continue our coverage. Bianca Peters is here. We're on the Fox Local app. If you don't have it, get it now. It's free. And we will be continuing coverage.
And Bianca's going to have more on the noon. Of course, 5, 6, 10 o'clock tonight. We will cover this from beginning to end.
Yeah.
There's no end yet.
Should we get a check on the weather from Audrey?
Let's check in with Audrey real quick.
Good morning to both of you. We'll give a little wrap up of what's going on weather-wise across the tri-state area while we transition into our next hour of coverage here. So we have
Damn your weather.
of the racketeering activity, bribery, arson, but they focused in on a lot of examples of the drug charge. So after you hear them say that, you think, well, I guess the jury, maybe that's what they're going to do, find him guilty. But again, you never know. And the judge instructed them during jury instructions, whatever the attorneys have said, that's not evidence. You're the finders of the facts. You have to look at all of the evidence presented in this case. And that evidence, of course, was what witnesses said on the stand, not the questions the attorneys asked them. Whatever the witnesses said, we saw photos of the searches. The jury saw, we did not see, the sexually explicit so-called freak-off videos. Those were the drug-fueled sexual encounters with male escorts that either Cassandra Ventura or Jane.
All right, man. So let's chat, man. Let's chat a little bit. We'll come back to this, man. Let's chat a little bit. So I think we all probably on the same page. Did anybody want this motherfucker to go free? Or was that just me? I know I did. See what you talking about, D-Love. I appreciate y'all for sliding through too, man. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. But you right here. I appreciate y'all for sliding through too. Right here with me, excuse me. Anyone seeing that tape without some type of understanding would be like, why didn't she just leave with the security guard? For the love of money. And that's what hurt. That's what hurt the sex trafficking. Like, you couldn't say she was forced because she had every opportunity to leave. But again, coercion is a motherfucker. You think she was finna give up that lifestyle and let some other female live that lifestyle? She wanted to do it. I don't know. Cassie got her 20 mil though. She damn sure got her 20 mil though. Let me see what YJ said. Didn't want to go free, but I always had a feeling he could. Yeah. Hey, that's two people. In the last, year and a half that unbeat RICO charges. Young Thug and Diddy. That RICO shit starting to lose its power, huh? Well, it's the fact that these motherfuckers got money. We done figured out how to beat a RICO charge. Have a bag, nigga. Have a bag and you'll beat the RICO charge. Other than that, you fuck. Oh, Diddy. So yeah, the judge told both sides had their paperwork in by 1 p.m. So I guess until 1 p.m. that's when we'll find out is Diddy gonna walk free until his sentencing. How much time you think Diddy gonna get, if any? You think he gonna get time served? You think he's gonna do a few months, 5 years, 10 years? The max is 20 because he got two counts, and each run a max of 10 years apiece. What y'all thinking? I think that motherfucker, the motherfucker might get time served and probation. I hope not, but I ain't expect for this nigga to beat this motherfucker. D-Love say time served and probation. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, 80s, baby. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you're doing better. Man, we ain't know that. I ain't know that, man. Damn. I'm glad you still here. My sister-in-law had a stroke last year. Damn. Take care of yourself, love. Take care of yourself. Sucks. That sucks. Yeah, I mean, just like one of the news stations we was watching is like the judge actually had the opportunity to sit here and hear how many times he done this shit and all the shit that he's been doing. If you take all that shit in consideration, like, damn, well, you got away with the biggest charges, the charges that carry the longest sentence. You beat all that shit, but you ain't beat these two. This is why I step in. Give him the max on both counts. You thought you was gonna get away then. You in my courtroom talking about daddy's coming home. No, daddy, you finna go sit your ass down and go up that road. Give him 20. Max his ass hot. Let me stop, man. Let me stop. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, Diddy. Oh, Diddy. Mr. Take that. Diddy gonna be goddamn dancing in them Harlem streets when he get home, nigga. If he get home. I don't know. We'll find out at 1 o'clock, though. But we won't find out till the sentencing. I don't know. The sentencing normally be when? Maybe a week or two, a month? Tomorrow? We want to know, goddammit. But yeah. I'm gonna probably pop back up about 1. So if y'all still around, come back and fuck with me. I'm gonna go cook me something to eat, man. I'm hungry than a motherfucker. I just got up. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for sliding in, man. Fucking with your boy. Meantime, tween time. Diddy said y'all thought y'all had me, didn't you? Oh, man, I'm going to fuck with y'all later on, man. Y'all be easy. Boss.